in the sunlit world of what he believes to be reality. But there is, unseen by most, an underworld, a place that is just as real, but not as brightly lit. A dark side.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first ever episode of DarkSide, the internet's finest B-movie podcast. I'm joined today by the bald eagle Tristan Terry.
Hello.
And the shaved ape Joe Edwards.
Hi, how you doing?
Today we're looking at the 1986 body horror, directed by Stuart Gordon. This is From Beyond, starring Barbara Crampton, Jeffrey Combs, Ted Sorrell, and Ken Foree. It was made in a budget of what you guys think?
Oh, I'm gonna butcher this. So
I'm gonna say 16 million.
I'm gonna go 10.
You're closer, T, but you're still not that close, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. So it was made on a budget of 4.5 million.
Oh fucking hell!
But to be fair to you, Joe, if it was shot in Italy and if it had been made in America, they expected it to cost around 15 million. How much do you think the movie made?
Fuck all, mate.
Not
Absolutely nothing.
You are both correct. It only made back 1,261,000.
1 million.
Oh, you
Did it have a worldwide release, or was it just like?
No, I think it was just a US release.
Fuck me, mate. That is atrocious. Even at that budget, like to lose 3/4 of it.
Oh yeah, it's so bad. I think it might be his biggest flop. The making of the film wasn't a particularly smooth experience either. They experienced an awful lot of technical issues in that. The sound stage it was shot on had been completely stripped of all heating equipment. So when they were filming it, their breath was literally showing up on film.
Oh, wow.
That cold. They ran out of money before the special effects for the final sequence could be done. But they also brought in 4 separate special effects teams to do this. So that's probably where all the fucking money went.
Jesus Christ.
It's based on an HP Lovecraft book that is only 7 pages long. So
And the book's like super or basic. It's like completely conceptual, and I have no idea how they turned it into a movie.
Was Lovecraft? Was that post War II or World War
I think he was knocking about for a long time.
Yeah, it's super old.
I swear it had something to do with like a reaction to like one of the Great Wars or something like that, and it was like his sort of way of putting into words how insignificant sort of humans are as a life. Bar what Lovecraft's obviously known for with like the cat, which we're not going to say, and then like Cthulhu, which a lot of people sort of know as just like this weird mythical beast from like South Park.
I know it from the Metallica song. Call of Cthulhu.
Like that's it. He's one of those. It's one of those like names that you always hear thrown around, but I guess a lot of people don't really know the ins and outs of him, and the ins and outs of his work.
Coming into the film, did you guys have any sort of like preconceptions?
I expected larger monsters, I'm going to say, I think. Purely off the basis of, Cthulhu's like 400 foot tall and he lives in the ocean. You know, so you kind of expect that. I also thought this film for about 2 hours was called From Below, and I was looking for the wrong thing.
Waiting for that line.
And
well, the funny thing is, like, as soon as I think of Lovecraft, I think of Cthulhu as well. So I completely forget that he writes stories like this. So I just assumed every Lovecraft story was just about giant monsters under the sea.
It's just like monster porn, isn't it? Like
definitely the best way to describe it. It's hentai, basically. It's hentai for racist Englishmen from the 1900s. Or whatever.
There's quite a lot of weird kind of hentai shit in this as well. I picked up a lot of tentacles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right, do you want to take us into the sort of plot and stuff then, Tristan?
Okie dokie. Right, so we open up the film with Crawford, played by Jeffrey Combs, upstairs in the biggest attic that I've ever fucking seen. I actually thought it was a barn.
with the like vaulted ceiling.
Yeah,
and stuff.
literally.
It was, I mean, I was baffled. Like, it cuts to sort of a panning wide, and you see all of this, like, essentially it could run NASA. Like, all of these computers, sort of dotted around the room.
I always like to think, does that look high tech at the time? Because it looks.
I think at the time that was elite, legit as fuck.
That was Mac Pro level, like.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the issue. You did it now, it'd literally be one guy at his MacBook Pro sat in a fucking empty room.
Talking over Skype, you wouldn't have any of these issues.
And then we pan out and we see the big pineal gland milking machine.
Fucking milking.
Pretty impressive. Pineal? Oh fuck, we should have checked this before.
Pineal.
Pineal.
Should we go with pineal?
I thought it was penial.
Right, let's go pineal. We'll go with that. Looks like something straight out of a Frankenstein movie. Jeffrey, or I need to call him Crawford. Crawford turns the machine on, instantly glows purple, which is like the biggest red flag ever.
I'm going to talk about this. I thought the use of colour throughout the film was the best bit of the entire thing. I thought the use of purples and pinks and like those sort of gorgeous like ultramarine blues, they felt menacing, but to a point where it was very lustful and it was very sort of intriguing. I thought it was just going to go straight to fucking red, which is just like oh, it's scary. Oh no, can't do that. And that's it was essentially, it's this big fucking glass orb on this pillow in the middle of the room, which is like one of those what are they called? Like the lightning balls, Tesla coil,
Something like that, yeah.
The special effects team really went all out with that.
And then the giant space worms.
Oh right. Mate, it's a fucking.
I'm calling them worms.
So this was my first note on the film. Flying dick bites face. It's the most like bizarre fucking opening I think I've seen in a while, where it's just this eel like grabs this guy's cheek and it's just there, and it's a good like 10-15 seconds it's on there. He's wiggling around, he's shaking it, and then he just turns the machine off.
Yeah, like nothing. It's fine.
Like
it's
nothing.
Done.
That's it.
Can we talk about how that giant worm was latched onto his face for so long, and then when he pulls it off, it's like the tiny little cut.
The mark on his face for the bandaging that they decided to put on it is just nothing. They might as well have put a fucking like Hello Kitty plaster on it or something like that. Follows to run downstairs to one of the greatest introductions to a character, Dr. Edward Pretorius, who I thought for the longest time was Oscar Pretorius.
Mate, I thought exactly the same thing, but apparently the name comes from Dr. Septimus Pretorius, who was Frankenstein's teacher and like the main reason he like went to the dark side.
Ah.
Great tidbit there from Ed. Oh, my word. He has scavenged the IMDb trivia page, hasn't he?
I've got many a factoid, mate. You got a lot to look forward to.
Oh my god. Silk robe, chest hair out, like he looks like something out of Boogie Nights. Like, it is ridiculous.
Embroidered silk robe. As soon as you see him, you're like, he's going to be all about the fucking pleasure in this film. He's going to be all over that.
I'll tell you what, boys, though. There was a scene missing. It shows what's behind the door when Crawford goes to knock on them.
Wait, they filmed this and cut it out?
Yeah, they filmed it and they cut it out because the rating people in America didn't like it and that. But right. You can understand why. He's putting a nail through this girl's tongue.
Oh my god.
So dark.
So they run upstairs and he's basically saying, it's worked, the machine's worked.
They turn that machine back on and then he starts having like a full-on body orgasm. He's absolutely loving it.
Do you feel? You feel it?
Can't you feel it? Robert, in the mind.
And I was thinking, like, is this it hurts so bad it's good? Or is it just pure...
He says at one point, when he's mid-orgasm, mid-brain orgasm, something's coming.
Something's coming.
And all I could think of was he's just coming in his pants. He's fully coming in his pants.
Oh yeah, they can laugh, but I win because they think I pissed myself. They've no clue I came all in my pants.
Oh, that machine's good, man. I need to order one. I don't know how you'd explain it when it arrived at your door.
Where would you put it?
The orangery.
Don't have a barn.
Back garden by the patio heater. Good. Oh, Dad, I'm just going over to erect my penis. Hope you don't mind.
We could have a pineal gland party down the back.
I was distraught that there wasn't more like just physical body shaking. I would have loved that. Just like the cliche, like.
Yeah, it feels tingly. I'm thinking. Here comes.
Full on cum faces.
And then we cut to an old lady in a house making a noise complaint, obviously. And her dog sprints to the house, so she's got to go save it. Apparently.
Horror cliche number 1. Old woman approaches terrifying house with her dog. Dog escapes, runs away, and she's left by herself.
She calls the police, which she said she's done countless times, and they've never done anything before. Yeah, she calls the dog Bunny.
Bunny? Bunny?
Fucking Bunny. Like, who calls a dog Bunny? But, it's whatever. You see some very cool Confederate flags on the walls as she enters the house. I feel like that had some relevance, but I don't know what. Maybe he was trying to say that. Maybe Gordon was trying to say that all people like Dr. Edward are Confederate or something like that.
That's what I didn't understand, because they made a very obvious direct point of zooming in on these "Don't tread on me" and the...
Yeah, there was more than one in the house, and they were framed and they were hanging on the wall. I don't know. Anyway, she goes in and proceeds to walk upstairs. She approaches the door at the top, at sort of the top floor that obviously leads towards the attic. And then an axe flies through.
Axe comes through the door. Crawford has the axe, smashes the door, and then opens the door handle. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, he completely sprints out. The old woman's going nuts, and the old woman's just following this supposed axe.
Oh my
killer out
god,
the
how
house.
slowly did she escape?
The lack of immediacy in her threat, and the fact it follows her. That's what I loved. Is it didn't follow Crawford leaving the house. It follows her leaving the house after her saying that they've done nothing. You never show up. I've called countless times, and they're doing it again. And they're not doing nothing. There's 2 cop cars, and they immediately go for Crawford. Obviously, you see a guy holding an axe, but it's like,
Yeah, get rid of him.
yeah,
The axe
it's just
was
like, what the
lodged in the door at this point, though. He's not even got the axe. He's just an innocent guy escaping a terrifying situation. Fuck this guy.
Put him in cuffs.
Straight after they get in the cop car, pans back upstairs to that room, and the fucking dog's obviously eating something, which is another cliche.
Some body on the floor, and the dog sort of nibbling at it.
Remember when we were in about year 7 for your birthday, we went to Ripley's museum?
Yeah.
That's all I could think of. It looked exactly like the whale foreskin.
Oh, what, his head?
His neck had been twisted into like a whale foreskin.
That's the thing. Like, I immediately thought of a cinnamon swirl. That's why the dog's licking it.
I thought, you know those like old action figures you could get where you could take the head off, and it was like a little nub, and that allowed you to rotate the head on.
Yeah, like the He-Man.
Yeah. That's just what it looked like.
Things.
I didn't think you saw the twisted nub though.
Oh, yeah, you see it. Why do dogs in horror movies always eat dead corpses? Because I said to Ed, your dog eats dog shit, but she's not going to eat a corpse, is she? Is that what dogs do?
She might.
Oh yeah.
Fucking weird, man.
From that, it then leads into I'm gonna talk about, as a graphic designer, this was fucking gorgeous. The use of a condensed, like, hard typeface in that purple again, like back referencing, with just the names. The score's introduced. That's gorgeous.
I think the score is possibly one of my favourites from any film.
It was one of the redeeming points of the film.
Oh wow!
For me.
Oh wow!
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
Well, we'll get into that. But and then you've got the fade of like as the background slowly goes from black into like the sort of, again, that like really deep blue with the worm eel things sort of floating around like all over each other, which again I thought was really, really cool because it's referenced later on. But I thought that was a nice little visual cue.
Well, they never do opening credits anymore for any movies, and I really like them.
It's nice.
Score over the top.
It's nice as well to have like a cold open introduction, and then you go straight into a title sequence, and then that allows you to transition into something else. It also allows you to introduce new characters, introduce a new scene, introduce a new sort of place.
Next, we're in the mental hospital, and we meet Catherine McMichaels, but I'm going to call her Barbara because she's played by Barbara Crampton, and that's all I can think of.
They gave her the big glasses. I like that. That's a good.
Mate,
that's a good touch.
The reason they
touch.
did that is because the producers of the film were like, we can't have her. She looks too young. She looks ridiculous. So the way that Stuart Gordon tried to make her look a little bit more professional than that was to tie her hair back a bit tighter and give her sort of comedy Ricky Gervais from Extra glasses. You know what I mean? Like, they just look ridiculous. Like, Jesus Christ. The wig, the glasses, brilliant.
Oh, the wig, the glasses, the catchphrase. Brilliant. That's becoming quite a catchphrase itself. Ooh, the wig.
I thought it was good. I thought it was decent.
And they go through the mental hospital, and you get the obligatory man furiously masturbating in his cell. He's going at it.
I was disappointed there was no chucking of the seed.
It was like a B-Tech Silence of the Lambs scene.
Yeah, like what else would you do in a mental hospital?
Like time. Look at the blood.
They basically say, we want to talk to Crawford. Crawford begins to explain to Catherine that it wasn't him that killed Dr. Edward. It was something else, something from beyond.
He's so likable for the whole thing. I don't even know if he's that much of a good actor, but he's just so likable.
I thought this sort of dialogue in this scene was really, really strong. It basically explains what's going on with the Doctor and with the machine.
It's just a bit of exposition dump.
What was the purpose of the experiments?
To stimulate the pineal gland with resonant vibrations.
The pineal gland? Why?
Dr. Pretorius believed the pineal was a dormant sensory organ, a sixth sense.
So it's basically just a massive vibrator.
But yeah, essentially just says, I don't believe he's insane. So we're not sure how long has passed after this. You assume it's a matter of days because he's in the same clothes and he's still got that mark on his face.
Surely it's got to be half a day.
Yeah.
He looks like he's literally just left the house from before the title sequence. And he said that this thing came along, and he says he bit his head off.
I'm like a gingerbread man.
Best line of the movie. That immediately tells you, like, this movie is not taking itself seriously at all.
See,
like,
I don't know if I agree with that, T. I think it's not meant to be taken seriously, obviously, but I think the writer, director, whatever, thought this would be quite a powerful moment in the film.
Yeah, he obviously he's not good at writing scripts. It was just like...
Yeah, we might have to disagree with that. And he says that the space worms are around us all the time.
Well, I thought that's one of the interesting things about what this machine is it's not transitioning you into another world. It's basically saying that there's all these dimensions going on at once, and in this dimension there's all these creatures and all these things, and stimulating the pineal gland allows you to see them. But then, yeah, essentially after a bit of dialogue, the Dr. Catherine's sort of chief says, I don't know from the inside of brains, and then just says, you can have him.
Mate, that was my major issue with the film. I everything else I can get on board with, but she is supposedly a forward-thinking scientist. Why on earth would you take a patient that has just experienced a massively traumatic experience back to the place where the traumatic experience happened and then recreate said traumatic experience? That surely is just absolute nonsense.
The next day. the next day. It's literally like, in fact, it's not even the next day. It's like that same day. Like they do it.
Yeah, they go straight from the hospital there.
Before they get to the house, you're introduced to
the best character in the movie.
I'd argue cliche number 3, Bubba.
I'm Sergeant Buford Brownlee, but my teammates call me Bubba. I used to play pro football. We were all crazy.
He's the only normal person in the movie.
And he thinks like a regular person would. I like that it's not being stupid about stuff. He really is just like, if you are in that situation, this is how you'd behave, and you'll see it throughout the film. But I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was really, really good.
But yeah, so they all get in his fucking van and drive to the house.
You pick up on this, Ed. As soon as they get to the house, we see what street it's on. It's on Benevolent Street. And house number
666,
which was in the frame for so long. Like, make sure you look at 666.
It's very subtle. Would have put that in the cliche count, but I think that's so obvious. Bit of tongue in cheek. I would happily allow that. I thought that was fine.
That's why I think the entire film doesn't take itself seriously at all. Yeah.
Maybe he just has a really shit sense of taste, and he thinks, "Oh, this will get them." Gordon's just like, yeah, call it, but
only the movie buffs will get this one.
And then they just go straight in the house, and we hear some sexy noises upstairs.
Yeah, they go upstairs to investigate the sound, and there's just some porn.
This guy was into some weird shit.
Got like
but what I specifically really liked about this, just before this, Crawford is saying, "Oh, we've rerouted all the power upstairs to this thing." They rerouted all the power except for fucking Dr. Pistorius, whatever the fuck he's called, his horny room. So he needs power just to watch porn and have a wank.
He's got like a full-on sex dungeon, and he's got a bed in there as well. So I think he just fucking sleeps in there. That's not his
probably.
separate sex room. That's where he lives. That's his living quarters.
I think it probably is, because when he opens a door and meets Dr. Edward first, you see the red room. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a bunch of sexy people doing sexy things. But yeah,
and then they go upstairs into the barn again, and it pans along to a chalk outline of the corpse with the little head stump still on it. Fucking died.
Again, this whole idea of what's the timeline here, because you'd assume this is still a murder scene. You'd assume they're not just going to let people come back if it's a matter of days, as you'd expect from seeing Crawford and after what's happened. But yeah, so they go back, and yeah, did they turn on the machine straight away? And then it's Crawford basically explains to them a bit about it, and then, you know, don't move and they can see you and all of that shit.
I don't think they turn the machine on straight away, because Crawford's rebuilding it. But we do get like a really cool line.
Your boss had some screws loose.
He was a genius. It's just that the 5 senses weren't enough for me. He wanted more.
And I totally agree. And like, he carries on, and he's like, he used to bring beautiful women back, drink fine wine, and listen to music, but it always ended in screaming.
That's why I think that if we'd had that opening scene of him nailing that girl's tongue or whatever, it would be like, holy shit, this guy is a piece of shit.
Yeah, you could see that he's
get that
sadistic.
from the get-go.
I think that's where it's nice is you sort of have, maybe it is a bit too quick that things start to unravel. It would have been nice if maybe they drip fed the kind of what he was really into throughout the film, as opposed to going, oh yeah, also he was a fucking sadomasochist.
And it made me laugh because he just carries on and says he was in the room next door, and I'm just lying there and listen to them. And it made me think of your old housemate, Ed. And you can like hear him fucking next door, and you're just sat up in bed, like bug-eyed. Having a panic attack.
Well, it's a big house. It's a fucking big house. Could have gone to a different room. There's definitely more than 2 bedrooms. So yeah, he then a bit of time passes. Anyway, yeah, they turn on the machine, and they fucking all see it. So
Bubba gets bit by like a jellyfish-looking thing, like something out of SpongeBob.
Yeah. Bubba gets a boner. That happens as well. Yeah. He says that.
Well, how about the hard-on I got? Is there a statistical correlation for that too?
Well, the whole thing just makes everyone super horny.
Well, it's weird. You see Crawford and Catherine like getting raunchy with each other, and then Bubba's just sort of a third wheel.
But as I'm probably not in the best position to say as a straight male in that, but I don't think if I was Catherine, I'd be going for Crawford. I think Bubba's much more of a hunk than Crawford. Big, dench black guy, former football player in great shape compared to this fucking schizophrenic nerd.
Well, we don't know he's schizophrenic yet. But,
possibly schizophrenic, that has possibly just murdered someone. I'd be going straight for Bubba.
She's gone straight for the little weaselly dweeb.
So the incel.
Yeah. And then we get Dr. Pretorius back for the first time. He still looks human, but he's talking a bit funny.
I saw you die. No, not die. Just pass beyond.
And he peels his fucking face off, and it looks so cool. It doesn't look realistic.
I think that might be up there for special effects throughout the whole film. I think it looks so fucking cool.
Yeah, and cool. His face kind of looks cinnamon twirly as well, which I like. I thought that kind of tied
There's a major pastry theme throughout.
You got real hungry there, didn't you?
Yeah. I've had too much beer.
One beer.
2 beers, 3 beers, a shot of whiskey, a margarita.
They touch him. Like, is it like? We'll talk more about this as we go on. But is it Dr. Pretorius or is it something else? You're still led to believe it's still him, and it's like what he says is he's sort of transcended his body. His mind is still there, which is all that really matters. His body was just sort of an organ. And yeah, that's what kind of got me. Is I was like, okay, like that's cool. The idea that it kind of transcends into that.
See, so they go down. Catherine makes the strangest eggs I think I've ever seen.
Oh, mate, slams them in the pan.
What the fuck was going on there?
So
she cracked an egg normally. She's making a nice fried egg. Yeah. Then afterwards, she cracks it, lets all the fucking egg white out, and then just slams the fucking yolk in, and it splits into like 10 different pieces.
She's a doctor. She's not a fucking chef, mate.
If you turned up, Joe, I've made you a nice, delicious breakfast. I've made you some nice sausages, bit of toast, bit of beans, whatever, full English, and I present to you a fucking mangled fried egg. Are you going to be happy with that?
Probably not, no.
And then she suggests, let's all just get some sleep. But I assume because she's making eggs, it's
mate, the timeline of this film, as we've already said, is fucked. I have no idea what day it is. Maybe that's the point. Maybe it's supposed to be disorientating.
Then they go to sleep. Barbara wakes up first, feeling a little bit frisky. She can't help herself. Goes straight fucking back up and turns it on.
Nice.
And both of them follow. Crawford comes upstairs and then they just start fucking making out straight away. And she's given him those eyes again.
He's reluctant at first for a good 12 seconds. And then
he's like...
And then he gives in. He's like, yeah, sure, let's do this. Breaking all professional conduct. But yeah, they're making out, and then Dr. Edward appears again.
He appears as the bubblegum man from the Mighty Boosh.
Charlie from the Mighty Boosh. He's back.
Yeah, straight up.
That's good.
Like the suit Dr. Edward was in, apparently it was so uncomfortable he couldn't breathe in it. He nearly died because it was restricting his breathing that much. Couldn't get any circulation around his body. His arms swelled up like a balloon, and it was so tight on him they had to completely destroy the suit to get him out of it because it was so fucked up, so bad, mate.
Were they his real fingers though?
Or they were salad fingers.
Salad fingers. It was good. It was good. It would have been better if he just had a larger hand, I think. Just like his whole hand grew.
Hulk hands.
And that's when Crawford and Bubba sprint downstairs to turn the power off, and there's giant space worms downstairs. Massive worms. I couldn't believe that as well. Like, those are crazy effects.
But
so there's a struggle, isn't there, with fucking, throwing back and forth. Crawford's in the water, Bubba's in the water, the worms in the water. Crawford almost turns the power off, which is what he's trying to do to save Dr. Catherine.
And then trips on nothing. Doesn't
make it there, and then gets sucked up by the worm. Essentially,
I'll tell you what. This is where Bubba comes into his own. This is where at the start I was thinking, maybe Bubba's a bit of a knob. Wow, no, he's not. He's a fucking hero.
Isn't he in his pants at this point as well?
Oh, like orange, like bronze-coloured, like fucking Y-fronts.
They're bright red Speedos.
They are tight. They look like they're made of Lycra. Like, they're not comfortable. They can't be comfortable.
The best bit is when Bubba turns the power off and the worms disappear. It turns out, instead of eating Jeffrey's head, they've just bitten his hair off. He's just suddenly
all of his hair.
They've just sucked his hair straight off.
Sucked every follicle off his noggin.
Yeah, it's mental.
Oh, it's brilliant. And what follows? Oh, I know, actually.
We get the best scene of the film.
Like a big baby, they put him in the fucking sex room. It's a single bed, though.
I saw that.
Me. Of everything in there, just like, yeah, single bed, it's the same space. But yeah, and then fucking... What is it? Go back to bed. No, Bubba leaves.
Bubba says, I'm going to get the van. We're getting the fuck out of it.
And she stays. Tristan, I can only assume, I wrote this down, this is the reason you like this film. You got hot barbs going for bald old fucking Crawford.
It's my fantasy.
It's your fantasy. That's what, mate. The next time you're in an intimate relationship and you're allowed to experience role playing, ask for this.
What I've got written down is Dr. Kath is intrigued by the BDSM shit. She put on some sexy lingerie and proceeds to start fondling the sleeping egg that is Dr. Crawford.
Fucking the sleeping egg.
She's sexually assaulting him. Everyone's getting sexually assaulted. It's really fucking horrible.
The strangest bit I thought was she went down, reached, grabbed his cock, and then sniffed her fingers.
No, she licked it.
Licked her fingers?
Yeah, she licked her fingers. And yeah, she's now super horny to the point where she is going to rape a guy that literally almost died and is essentially on his deathbed in fucking full-on... You say sexy lingerie, this is full-on... BDSM gear. Everything fits perfectly, by the way.
The fucking BDSM gear she's wearing, she sold it at a yard sale for $20.
Fucking hell.
One fan is having the best time of this film.
Years. 30 years later.
Yeah, basically... is on top of him, then Bubba fucking strolls in.
Fucking man, I tell you what, mate, he is a stronger man than I am. She's coming on to you, seducing you.
He says to Catherine, what you doing? She's on top of Crawford. She then decides to just get off of Crawford, fuck this, go for Bubba, which we were saying earlier, she should have done first route. The tension is strong in that room.
She's like right up close to him, and he's just like...
You're asking for it.
That's like he's caved now.
And then grabs her.
And then, is this where the machine turns itself back on?
It is, yes.
Yeah, and everything gets plugged back in. And this scene grossed me out as well. So they go back into the barn upstairs, and all these like weird ball, like locust things start coming out. Are like latching themselves onto their backs. Do you know that thing that was going around on Facebook? It's like the fear of holes in objects. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Trichophobia?
It reminded me of that.
They're just styrofoam balls, though. Like, the way that they did it was they poured a shitload of styrofoam balls on people, and then for when Bubba's shining the torch on him, they just reversed it.
Yeah. And they're there on the floor, sort of in fetal position, being attacked by these things. And then Bubba comes in with a fucking torch. Shines them on them, is like, whoa, and then
throws the torch.
Yeah.
torch is clearly working to get rid of these flies, but fuck, I don't need it.
Where he's thrown the fucking flashlight, it lands and shines directly at him.
Not just that, Joe. It lands and then tilts about sort of 45 degrees. No one's pushing it. It just twists.
It suddenly shines on his face, and he immediately clocks it. He immediately goes, oh, fuck. Doesn't step back, doesn't go, oh, maybe I should move away. He just lets this happen, which is just so...
They're literally eating his flesh. This death's, like, really nasty, especially because it's Bubba. It hit me.
Yeah,
it hit home.
It hurt
I
me.
think I almost nearly cried this morning. But this death's really nasty. Like, the way he ends up with his arms and legs, like, completely eaten.
His head's still absolutely fine. Like, they didn't go for the face. You got to know it's Bubba.
There's a lot of different black characters in this. You could get very confused. It was also cliche number 4, black man dies first.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand what it is.
Yeah.
What's wrong with, letting a black character survive till the end? If they're all going to die, just...
What's that George Romero film where the black guy survives till the end? Because that was like a big thing.
Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, I think that was a really massive thing when that happened. And it's still so unusual. You are right. And we actually see Pretorius in this scene again. And that's when he's like really fucking weird.
He looks like a chicken with a penis for a neck.
Yeah, it's bizarre. He's this mangled creature, but then his face still retains the exact features you'd need to be able to know it's him.
We do get probably the coolest line from the film, in my opinion at least.
Humans are such easy prey.
The way he says it, I just think it's fucking badass.
Yeah, zoomed into his face.
So they managed to turn off the resonator, Bubba's dead, and they call an ambulance to collect them.
So Crawford also has an antenna coming out of his head. He gets this fucking mind boner, and out pops a little stem. It is horrible. Like, it is without a doubt. I could not, I physically recoiled at this bit.
Yeah.
And pretty much any time after this, when you see Crawford, I couldn't handle it.
That body horror can never handle it.
Yeah, man. That was the worst bit.
And you see like through his eyes, and it looks like he's got predator vision. Like, I don't.
That's exactly what I've got written down.
Predator vision.
It's predator vision, but like a lot less clear. They obviously just discovered that they could do like a sort of certain kind of leveling monitor on one of their cameras that they had, and were like, this would make a cool effect, let's do this.
I don't understand why this wasn't sort of the first thought. As soon as someone's had every hair follicle sucked out of them, I know that what's-her-name is a little bit nuts, but Bubba, he's a clear...
He's a real straight shooter.
Exactly. Call the ambulance straight away, mate. I would have expected more from Bubba. That's my one disappointment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they get back to the mental hospital, and the doctor wants to put her through electroshock therapy. And I was just thinking, like, why is every like movie nurse a piece of shit? The nurse from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, piece of shit. Isn't Kathy Bates in Misery like a nurse? Is that how she can nurse him back to health?
She is, yeah. She's sort of like a nurse, but she's been, murdering people, murdering babies and all that
She's
stuff.
a nurse,
So
but she's
not
also...
a normal nurse.
Yeah.
Does she kill... Oh, she does kill babies.
Yeah, she kills loads of babies, mate.
Let's not talk about Misery.
Let's start a new review. She is a bit of a jack-of-all-trades doctor, isn't she? She starts off being sort of this psychiatric nurse or whatever, psychiatric doctor, sorry. And then she suddenly moves into being able to do surgery and stuff. She's got all this surgical equipment, and then she suddenly knows exactly how a CAT scan works and stuff.
There's that bit of visual comedy there for you, a bit of fucking cat and mouse. She puts the gloves on, she gets the pliers, she's inspecting Crawford's forehead, which has obviously now got this new bloom of arsehole asparagus. And it's essentially her battling. It's like the worst game of Operation.
Yeah.
She's trying to
pick it up.
She's trying to get this thing out of his head. And it's got a mind of its own. It's coming up, it's coming down. It's whack-a-mole.
I said whack-a-mole. I said whack-a-mole as well.
Yeah. It's fucking ridiculous,
it's
mate.
Disgusting as well.
Anything with this fucking antenna, I could not deal with. It was bad.
When you say bad, how do you mean? As in, made you cringe, or you thought it looked shit?
Oh, mate, like physically, I couldn't deal with it. Like, yeah, it was like nails on a chalkboard. Crawford wakes up and then just sort of like waddles, like sort of. The prosthetics that he's wearing on his head is obviously very top heavy because he's literally he looked like a fucking like penguin. He walks into a room and then you see a bunch of buckets on the floor, and one of them's glowing purple. Slam back to the Doctor coming back, and then she sees fucking blood pouring out of this room that you can only assume was the one that Crawford's walked into. It says pathology. Am I right in saying that?
Don't know.
I assume that's where they keep what you're about to find out. Crawford eating a brain.
When they initially shot it, Crawford was sort of pantomiming eating it, so he was pretending to eat it. Stuart Gordon, the director, was like, no, that looks like absolute dog shit, mate. We can't do that. We need to find something pink. And the only thing they had to eat was Fixodent, which is basically what they use to fix dentures. Yeah.
Oh my God.
He said when he ate it, it sucked all the moisture out of his head.
I don't need it. I don't need it. I definitely don't need it.
He couldn't breathe. He just couldn't swallow. There's no moisture left in his mouth.
Just a bit of ham. Just a bit of ham or something like that. A bit of red meat. Bit of red meat, you know, like.
Why have I got delicious written down? Does he say delicious?
I don't know, mate. Probably.
This is the cinnamon rolls they've devolved into. You're looking at a brain now and you're just like, yeah, that looks fucking good, doesn't it? But yeah, he then immediately, his antenna like retracts, doesn't it? And then he's suddenly aware of what he's doing. He basically like, you know, recoils at what he's doing, gets up, moves to the Doctor for solace, essentially like, oh, help me. Then the antenna comes out again. He sees her glowing brain in her head and goes, I'm going to go for that through the fucking eye, mate. Like, open mouth.
He sucks it off. Think of all the suction in his mouth. Straight up just pops out like a chopper chop or something.
Fucking chopper chop. Obviously, Dr. Catherine at this point was about to get electrocuted, but then because they're like, oh, come quick, like Crawford's escaped, she gets out. So they're both escaping at this point in time. Then there's some I'd probably say this is maybe the sixth individual that's been introduced into the film. The paramedics that pull up outside. they're wheeling out a fucking hobo on a gurney, and then Crawford fucking whips out Whapa, and then she gets face sucked as well. The bum's just sat there watching.
Do you think that intelligent brains taste nicer?
Absolutely not.
Because
that's not how it works.
But all I'm saying is he goes for big smart doctor, number one. He goes for two paramedics that are both, you know, presumably quite well trained, quite intelligent people. Leaves the bum, the alcoholic pisshead that's destroyed his brain. Do you think maybe it's almost like eating a bit of Wagyu beef compared to Asda's fucking steaks or something?
Or maybe he's going for the big pineal glands. Maybe he's eating them.
But why would they have larger pineal glands?
I have no answer to that.
Paramedics are notoriously incredibly horny. That's basically what it is. So he then puts on a paramedic's jacket and gets in the ambulance to make a swift escape. And then it's just sort of, you assume a few days have passed.
Nah, they're going straight there.
Do they go straight there?
Yeah, straight there.
You then follow Catherine back to the house.
She walks upstairs. She plants a bomb on the resonator.
No, this is it. If you're saying it happened straight after, where the fuck did she get a bomb from?
That is a good point. That's a very good point. And
it had to be a matter of days. You can't just make a bomb.
Few hours.
Got a hard copy of the Anarchist Cookbook.
And she goes back in the sex dungeon. Crawford finds her and ties her up. And then, oh shit, little worm antenna, man, the asparagus, pops out, and she fucking latches onto it and bites it straight off.
Oh,
and
it's horrid.
That
man.
It is so grim.
Vile. As I say, anything with this fucking antenna, but that was hard. She manages to then escape because of that. No, she that the machine turns on, doesn't it, again?
Big matey, whatever his name is, Edward, turns on the machine somehow, but after her biting off his antenna, he's back to normality, somewhat back to normality, and he's starts throwing out the insults. You're a eunuch. He's basically a Jaffa, isn't he? He's got nothing.
The greatest sensual pleasure there is to know the desires of another mind.
I know your desires, you impotent pig! She'll know, Edward, how pathetic you are! How you can't make love! That's the only point where it's like, oh, okay, like there's some hatred from Crawford towards Edward there.
I did like that though. I did like the sort of whole theme of him being a Jaffa, him not being able to,
Where have you got this line from? A Jaffa?
It's a Jaffa. He's seedless,
That is bad though.
And then they give chase. Dr. Pretorius is chasing him around the house and just morphing into all this different shit.
And then you can just see, like, at the bottom of the camera, it's literally like that, like tentacles. It's just like they obviously just cheaped out at that.
It's when he turned into a bat. Remember?
Oh yeah,
the stop motion bat. And starts flying towards
I thought it looked cool though. I love stop motion. I don't know what it is. I think it looks so cool.
I like stop motion when it's done right, but when that's the only bit that's really done in the film, it's super noticeable. And Crawford's essentially fucked by the bat, by Ed.
He devours him.
Turned into a cinnamon swirl, twists his head off.
Yeah.
You see the head fully twist off.
The fourth pastry of the film.
Wow.
Crawford then reveals himself again, doesn't he? Through Edward's mouth, who he thinks about to fuck Catherine.
I thought they were like hot dogs coming out of his mouth, but it's just Crawford's fingers.
It's Crawford's fingers. Crawford's fingers coming out of his mouth. It reminded me of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode where Homer it goes inside Mr. Burns and then grows full size, and he's got him under, and he's got him under his skin.
This probably won't go in the podcast, but still, Johnny Harriman says that if you're eaten by an anaconda, you can then sit up
stand
inside the anaconda.
No, this is worth having in the podcast. You can.
If it consumes any animal with legs, can't the animal just stand up and run off inside the snake? With that logic.
inside the snake.
Just sprint away.
Running around with a snake suit on.
Yeah. I don't know how you'd find yourself inside an anaconda without being killed first.
Well, I assume an anaconda would choke you out before.
Yeah, that's like the whole point. Or bite you, or eat you, or you dissolve in the body in the stomach acid. It's not just an empty well.
These are good special effects here. I've written down how good these are.
Yeah,
I thought it was crazy.
Okay, all right. I'll give it that. Catherine, almost at her wit's end, being grabbed by, I think, is it Edward's penis, or is it like one of his hands? I thought it was his dick.
I think it's one of his hands, but it is. I think it's meant to look as phallic as possible. I think.
But yeah,
and then she leaps. Yeah, I think you are right. She fully sends it. Absolutely.
She leaps probably about 20 meters from where she's standing out the window. Survives the leap somehow.
House explodes.
Not even that big a bomb though, is it? It's like a firebomb. It starts only in the. It doesn't blow any of the floor out or anything like that because the fire is contained somehow within the upstairs ceiling.
She lands on her leg, and this also made me cringe. I thought her leg was completely severed when I first saw it.
It's really got me. So they bring back the woman from the beginning of the film, the old woman. And they don't walk up to Dr. Catherine. They don't do anything. They let her just sit there while she's crying and wailing. Her leg fucking absolutely jacked off. Like, it's bad. And then she just walks up and goes, Oh, that looks bad. Don't worry, I've called an ambulance.
No, it's not even I've called an ambulance. I've called the fire brigade. They'll get you to the hospital.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Once they put out the fire, they'll probably get you somewhere, love.
Then she maniacally laughs.
And
I did quite like that,
Yeah,
though.
I like
It
that
was
as well.
almost like a full circle, you know. That's how we introduced Crawford, you know, they ate him or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it is... I did quite like that. It was a nice way to finish off the film.
So, yeah, roll credits, basically, isn't it?
Fade to black. And then I have to say, the score for the credits and that, we'd heard it throughout, but you actually get a time to sort of really appreciate how fucking good the score is. Like, it is unbelievable.
Score's good.
And throughout the movie, I can't really explain what this sound is, but there's kind of like a magical, like, zinging noise before people say stuff. Do you know what I'm talking about?
That is sampled in Intergalactic by Beastie Boys.
No fucking way. That's insane. That's so cool.
There's been some fucking great death metal bands and grindcore bands that have just, like, the influence of this film on them, like, you sent me over one, I can't remember who it was, I think it was maybe Autopsy T.
Yeah.
But it was fucking sick, really sick.
And that's it. Do you want to do the little ad lib thing, Joe?
What?
Kill.
Well, that was good enough. Why don't you do it? Why don't we all do it? On the count of 3, we'll all say it in our scariest voice. That one. Kill count. Okay, right. 1, 2, 3. Kill count.
That's terrible.
So, the kill count from Beyond was only 6.
Pretty low.
Which is pretty damn low.
Yeah. But, this is just off the top of my head, The Shining only had 2, for example. So
I think you find it actually... Oh, wait, no, Jack Nicholson did die in it, actually.
Doesn't get killed, though.
He sort of...
Just dies of his own...
Well, it's never
silliness.
confirmed he dies.
You see him frozen at the end. Do you think he survived?
Maybe.
It's like fully frozen over.
Proper gurn on as well. Anyway.
Pingomania.
Yeah, 6. Pretty low. But there weren't many people in the film, so...
That's true.
I guess.
Yeah. A few wonderful kills. What was the best kill, though?
I'm going to go for Bubba. I reckon Bubba's number 1.
Yeah.
The stakes were the highest. He was the best character. He got absolutely fucked up by those Pyrostone balls.
Pyrostone.
Pyrostone.
Styrofoam. Yeah, the balls. Yeah, no, it was... Yeah, I'd say Bubba.
I don't think I'd agree.
Ooh.
I think the eye sucking. The eye sucking was my favourite, but I've been outvoted, so...
Yeah,
as is the way of the world, you know?
Unlucky.
It's a democracy.
And the Oscar goes to...
Sergeant Bubba Browning.
This is the first Oscar and nomination for
Sergeant Bubba Browning.
That's a pretty bad way to go, though. Getting your brain sucked through your eyeball.
It's very Tutankhamun. That's it, isn't it? Carmoon? No, it's not. Tutankhamun. Tutankhamun side.
Fucking hell. Tutankhamun through my eyeballs.
It's very Egyptian-esque, though, isn't it? What were your guys' thoughts on the overall picture, the flick?
I mean, I know I've expressed this throughout the episode. Wasn't the biggest fan. I don't know. In comparison to the light of what I have seen of Gordon's other work, it's not for me. This. It was enjoyable, definitely, but it felt like it didn't know what it was, whether it was trying to be camp or whether it was trying to be semi-serious. There were certain bits of it that I enjoyed, as I said. you know, with the certain use of visuals, with effects, with colour, some of the acting, some of the script was all right, some of the shots were good. But other than that, I mean, it's, to me, pretty mediocre. I mean, I wouldn't say don't watch it, but I wouldn't go out your way to watch it. Definitely over, say, the likes of Reanimator or something like that. We haven't got a scoring system, but I don't know. What should we do this out of? Out of 10? Out of 5? Out of 7? Out of
out of 7.
7.
Out of 7.
Nice round number.
Let's go 10.
10 what? 10 what, Tristan? Stars.
10 dark sides.
10
out of 10 dark
10
sides.
dark sides out of 10. No, 10 ciders.
Why would it be? A cider. I see.
Yeah,
Dark
but
side.
it's like a double.
drinking.
It's like a double entendre. Like a.
We could have a From Beyond themed rating system.
10 Chupa Chups.
10 bubbles out of 10.
I'd give this film 5 whale penises out of 10.
Wow.
A 5-inch whale penis.
A 5-inch out of a possible 10 inches of whale penis.
So
as I
your
say,
5 whale penises, does that mean the movie's completely mediocre?
Yes.
Is that quite a low score for you?
I would not. I would consider that the score that it is. It is halfway between 0 and 10. Thereby me saying, I'm indifferent. It is what it is. I wouldn't say it's a bad score. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a good score, but I to me this just wasn't it. You know, simple as. I think that's all I can sort of say. What about you guys? What did I can't be the only one that had scathing reviews, but
well, actually, so I like this movie quite a lot. I've got to give a lot of credit for anyone who tries to adapt a Lovecraft novel or short story, because they're so conceptual and bizarre, and it's kind of really difficult to convey those stories visually. I thought the effects were really, really good. The use of colour, like you said, the score, but it's not perfect. I think the movie massively dips when they hit the hospital. The story doesn't make a lot of sense, but I guess it's a B movie, so I can't really fault it for that. But yeah, I just kind of wish it was more focused in that house more, and for it to just play with those kind of ideas more of seeing the other world from beyond and all that stuff. But I still really, really liked it. Thought it was really entertaining, so I'd give it fucking 8 or something.
Oh, 8 inches.
Yeah.
I think I have to agree with Tristan pretty much. I agree with what you said about it wasn't very focused at all. It was, yeah, and there were points where I was this is a bit hokey, but yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. It's the score for me, just I fucking love it. I really, really like it. So I'm gonna give it an 8.3 inches.
Jesus, my word. Well, I've been severely outcasted here, but
you still sure about that 5, Joe?
I'm sticking.
Sure,
I'm sticking to my guns. 5 inches is enough.
Joe would know.
Yeah. I think it's fair. I mean, as I say, it wasn't amazing, and I would have to directly compare this to the likes of something like Reanimator, and I just think that's, you know, another kettle of fish, but that might be another episode, who knows.
I much prefer this to Reanimator. Much prefer. I didn't love Reanimator, but we won't go into too much detail because, yeah, as Joe said, potential another episode.
Potential. Make sure to smash the comment section. Let us know if you want to hear our thoughts on another HP Lovecraft adaptation by Stuart Gordon.
Yeah. Recommend some more. Tell your friends.
More. Yeah.
Tell your family.
Wait,
tell
is this
the
our
dog.
outro?
This is our outro. This is the first one.
Let's
this is our outro.
We're keeping it going. We're keeping it going. As Tristan said, thank your dog. Thank your mother. Thank your father.
And thank you for listening.
yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for sticking through however long this has been, whatever this comes out to. It's much appreciated. I guess if not on here, we have an Instagram that we regularly update. So, you know, whether that's the likes of a new episode, us working on something, or just general fun facts, trivia, and cool images. Completely sincere. That's at DarkSide_podcast. Again, that's at DarkSide_podcast.
I'll stick it on the screen.
Yeah, flash it up.
Link in bio.
In strobes. Link in bio. Merch selling like a god church.
When are you going to get on that merch, Joe?
Soon cometh the merch. Soon cometh the man. I've been Joe, the bald gorilla. Was that it? The bald ape.
Shaved ape.
The shaved ape. I've been Joe Edwards, aka the shaved ape.
I've been Tristan Terry, aka the bald eagle.
I've been Ed Lewis, the love gorilla.
The love gorilla. There can't be two monkeys.
All right, I'll try that again. I've been Ed, the silver rabbit Lewis.
Silver rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I can't say anything against that.
And until next time.
Until next time, guys. Much love.
Stay safe.
See you later.
Thanks, guys.